Do the Triple J. Araham Samma
Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivate
Sawakato
Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami
Saupatipanno
Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami
Say something. Good morning, teacher.
Namaskar ครับพระอาจารย์
Okay. Like good morning, teacher. And today we would start chapter 36, right?
No, 30.
Huh?
Top 30, I think.
36, 35 last time.
Oh, really?
Last time 35. Yeah, come to 36. You move around here a little bit. Good. We have two or three things to understand. Yes, 36. Start reading.
Phraengthama listened to the Dhamma from the Buddha until he attained arahantship and requested to be ordained as a monk in the Buddhist order. Including the Buddha himself, he became the seventh arahant. His former companions who had previously engaged in wild pleasures and sought sensual delights to the extreme were shocked and bewildered when they heard that Phraengthama had ordained. They were astonished that the son of a wealthy man who had lived amid lavish luxury and spent every moment enjoying the pleasures that were meticulously provided for him had suddenly transformed his life so drastically. They concluded he must have discovered a joy in monastic life that far surpassed the pleasures known to an ordinary rich man. News of Phraengthama's renunciation and ordination spread quickly among his friends and into conversations of townspeople and market dwellers. The story became a hot topic of discussion in almost every circle. Each person speculated on the reasons behind his ordination, some rightly, some wrongly, according to their personal experiences and perspectives. Phraengthama's friends discussed the matter for several days and then decided to visit him to ask directly what motivations had caused such profound transformation, from heaven to abyss, or if seen in spiritual terms, from dust to the stars. Whether viewed materially or spiritually, Phraengthama had truly uprooted and changed his life. His closest friends who had shared in every pleasure with him, equal in the status and long-standing friendship, were Vimala, Supapu,
Punachi,
and Kamapati.
Kawampati. Okay.
They came to visit Phraengthama and asked sincerely why he had abandoned immense wealth and sensual pleasures to live a life of hardship, sleeping on the ground and eating coarse food without any possessions. What had he found that was greater than gain, fame, praise, and pleasure? Seeing that his dear friends were genuinely interested and open to hearing his reasons, Phraengthama briefly explained enough to lay the foundation for understanding. Then he brought the four of them to the Buddha so that Buddha himself could give the Dhamma talk that had transformed his life from turmoil to peace. The Buddha was Phraengthama's true virtuous friend who had calmed a restless and agitated heart. Phraengthama fulfilled the role of virtuous friend by leading his companions from darkness to light, from delusion to wisdom, from attachment to liberation, from the snares of Mara to lasting freedom. The Buddha declared that a virtuous friend is a vital force that helps seekers of Dhamma progress towards enlightenment. The event is the clearest example confirming that declaration. The Buddha gave the gradual discourse beginning with generosity, the training of relinquishing, and morality. the restraint from using body and speech to harm oneself or others, instead using them for benefit. He taught about heaven, the joy that comes from the beneficial conduct. He pointed out the dangers of sensual pleasure, such as delight in forms, sounds, smells, tastes, tangible objects, and mental objects, noting that these are inherently bound with suffering due to their constant change. The mind sways left and right, up and down, and never resting. After revealing the faults of sensual pleasure, he taught the path of renunciation, which means withdrawing the mind from clinging either an attachment or aversion, both of which lead to mental disturbance. To be free from this, one must view liking and disliking as a temporary condition arising and ceasing with equanimity and wisdom, which gradually illuminate insight and allow one to see things as they truly are. One stops running and seeking, standing still to observe all things come and go. The mind becomes calm and peaceful. When the Buddha had laid this foundation for the heart, preparing it to receive higher truths, he then taught the Four Noble Truths about the ultimate reality of suffering and its cessation. Suffering arises from the causes, the non-suffering follows its proper path. Right conduct in body, speech, and mind at all times and in all places prevents suffering from arising. Phraengthama's four friends, after hearing the Buddha's Dhamma's teaching, realized for themselves that whatever arises does so from a cause and ceases because that cause ceases. Each gained the Dhamma eye and understood clearly why Phraengthama had given up worldly pleasures to embrace the simple yet noble life of a monk. Once the causes of suffering are extinguished, complete peace remains. Peace is the source of true happiness that does not change, diminish, or end. The Buddha said there is no greater happiness than peace. Those who see the Dhamma no longer need to seek happiness from having or becoming through forms, sounds, smells, or tastes that lure and entice. They can live with those things without being disturbed or shaken. Even though life remains and requires the four requisites for sustenance, they use only what is truly necessary. They no longer gather excess or burden themselves. A heart that has found true freedom does not return to bondage. Phraengthama's companions saw the truth for themselves without any doubts. Their minds became radiant like overturned bowls set upright. They felt certainty like those who had long been lost in the forest had now found a guide and a path to their destination. Like those long parched who now drank cool, fresh water, they were filled with indescribable joy. The four friends requested ordination in the presence of the Buddha. After they were ordained, the Buddha continued to instruct them with increasing refined teachings until all four attained arahantship. At that point, the number of the arahants in the world increased to 11. Phraengthama and his friends were not only wealthy but also influential and respected. When they acted, others observed and accepted it as right as role models. Like young people admiring heroic figures, others placed trust in them. When people heard that what Phraengthama and his companions had done was to elevate the heart beyond the flood of defilements, they understood that theirs was a truly free life. A noble and free mind is more valuable than a worldly status or position, all which are temporary and become burdens of suffering and clung to. The young men who saw this truth for themselves came to hear the Dhamma directly from the Buddha. The Buddha welcomed them with appropriate teachings that refine their mind until they reached purity, radiance, and calm. They desired complete inner freedom and thus requested ordination and practiced the holy life until they all attained arahantship. A detailed examination of the Buddha's conduct shows that he aimed for everyone who approached him to gain wisdom. Wisdom is the light that truly and permanently ends suffering. People who believe in the Buddha and chose to ordain did not do so blindly or through faith in magical powers, but only through wisdom, critical reflection, and direct experience of peace. Only after passing through the process of insight did firm faith arise. It's like someone buying fruit such as mangoes. If one believes the seller solely because they claim the fruit is sweet, that belief is incomplete. Only after tasting it oneself can one confirm if it truly is sweet or sour. Even without anyone telling them, they will know through their own experience. Faith in the Buddha by his disciples is therefore preceded by wisdom. True, unshakable faith must come from having tasted real peace. After hearing the Dhamma and seeing the truth, most disciples transform their lives from wealth to simplicity, from affluence to modesty, from turmoil to peace, from self-centeredness to selflessness, ready to dedicate themselves for the benefit of all. The life of a monk who has seen the Dhamma and has been deeply fulfilled by its taste is one devoted to selfless sharing of that peace with others. The true monastic path is not a way to make a living relying solely on others, but the life of one who has tasted the Dhamma and sees material things as lifeless for attachment. They live with minimal necessities and spend all their time sharing the peace they have found with all beings without expecting anything in return, not even a word of thanks. A true monk in the meaning of the Buddha and his disciples is not a holy being, not someone with magical powers or worldly authority. They are simply virtuous friends with minds that are clean, bright, and calm, always ready to speak, consult, and relieve suffering with sincerity and warmth, grounded in limitless compassion and loving kindness.
Okay, continue to 37.
Proclaiming the holy life. When the number of arahants included the Buddha increased to 61, one day the Buddha called a meeting of all arahants to share the true peace that they had attained with their fellow beings, so that others might also experience the peace and happiness that they had found for the benefit and happiness of lives, society, and the world. When the arahants had assembled, the Buddha said, "Monks, I am free from all bonds, both celestial and human. You too are free from all bonds, both celestial and human. Go forth for the welfare, for the happiness of the many, for compassion toward the world, for the benefit and welfare of gods and men. Do not go two by two in the same direction. Proclaim the Dhamma that is excellent in the beginning, excellent in the middle, and excellent in the end. Declare the holy life complete in meaning and expression, pure and perfect. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who are wasting away for lack of hearing the Dhamma. They will understand the Dhamma. I too will go to the village in Uravela to deliver the Dhamma." In the earliest period, we see that the Buddha did not send arahants to proclaim the religion in the sense of promoting an institution, but to teach the Dhamma and declare the holy life. Both the Dhamma and the holy life directly refer to the path of liberation from suffering. All the Dhamma taught by the Buddha, beginning in Benares with a group of 5 ascetics, and continue with the arahants, was aimed at liberation beyond all currents of defilement. Guarding the mind against welcoming defilements is the essential basis for practicing the holy life. The holy life means living with wisdom that is above command of defilements, or living in a way that defilements cannot arise. Living in accordance with the Noble Eightfold Path is called practicing the holy life, which is the way that leaves no room for defilements to arise. Practicing the holy life means conducting oneself as one who refines their behavior, led by mindfulness and wisdom in every step. The main duty of monks, as commanded by the Buddha, is to teach the Dhamma so that people see the danger of defilements, and declare new paths so that people see the danger of the new path of life that runs parallel to them. This duty is to show people the poison and danger of defilements and help them break free from their bondage. A monk who spreads the Dhamma is one who travels to free the people from bonds of defilement. The Buddha said, "Now you are free from the bonds that are celestial and human." This means forms, sounds, smells, tastes, and tangible objects that lure and bind every being into delusion and detachment without even realizing it, even while suffering greatly. This is the human bond, the increasingly subtle pleasure or even the happiness arising from deep meditative absorption, and the magical powers that forest-dwelling ascetics at the time indulged in are called the celestial bond. The Buddha pointed out that human happiness is a bond. The refined deep happiness from concentration and absorption is also a bond. But the arahants were completely free from such pleasures. Though happiness exists naturally, they were no longer attached to it. Like a lotus leaf that grows in water but does not absorb water, the arahants could feel all kinds of happiness and suffering as any ordinary person could, but they let it all pass. Those who attained arahantship understood name and form clearly but did not cling to anything, whether form or name, as self, as me, or mine, just as explained in the Anatta
Lakkhana Sutta. Yes.
At that time, because there are few arahants, the Buddha said not to go in pairs. Every one of them was an arahant, though their ways of communicating Dhamma to others may differ. Their goal was the same, to give peace to those with a heart inclined to know. The Buddha called these people those with little dust in their eyes. The phrase little dust in their eyes referred to a quality essential in those to whom the Buddha would teach Dhamma. Those with little dust in their eyes would understand the Dhamma easily, even with a little teaching. Once they saw the Dhamma, the dust would vanish. Only the bright eyes would remain. Those with few defilements are more peaceful. The Buddha's Dhamma requires peace both in listening and practice. If there is enough peacefulness to support it, one can truly comprehend the Dhamma. Once the Dhamma is realized, the little dust vanishes due to the peace sustained by wisdom, morality, and concentration, which then becomes stable and insightful peace, leaving no trace for defilements to arise again. The Arahants who had escaped the two kinds of bonds went forth to proclaim the Dhamma and the holy life as living examples to those who had tasted the flavor of peace and a flavor of Dhamma. Arahants taught both by speaking and by being a visible example. Listeners received the clear theory and saw the fruits of practice. Confidence arose and practice followed. When practice followed the correct path as taught and demonstrated by the Arahants, one would find the same peace they had experienced. Those who freed from bonds, detached from gain, fame, praise, happiness, as well as loss, disgrace, blame, and suffering, can fulfill their duties firmly. Working with people always involves contact with worldly conditions. But once the mind of one who brings light has gone beyond such currents, related problems no longer arise. When they are completely free, they can help others without limitation. Those freed from bonds truly dwell beyond the world. Not only are they themselves unattached, but the Dhamma they also teach also leads out of all bonds, just as the Buddha had taught them. The Buddha also specified the Dhamma must be beautiful in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. Beauty means clear, clarity in explanation, even if not elaborate or varied in style. If the Dhamma points directly to the heart to free listeners from their bonds, it is considered beautiful in all three phases. Moreover, when Dhamma is taught and the listener feels like they have lost nothing but the chains of defilement, and what remains after touching the Dhamma is only peace and freedom, then the experience of that peaceful satisfaction is the ultimate beauty. When beauty is viewed through the true Dhamma, there is scriptural Dhamma, practice Dhamma, and realized Dhamma. Listening with a full attention until our understanding arises in beauty in the beginning. Deciding to put into practice is beauty in the middle. Gaining the result as peaceful happiness is beauty in the end. If beauty is understood through the Noble Eightfold Path, one sees that the holy life begins with wisdom, continues with morality, and continues with concentration. This is harmonious beauty. Wisdom is the initial beauty, concentration is the middle beauty, and morality is the final beauty. The main goal of proclaiming the holy life is the benefit and the happiness of many. Whoever touches the Buddha's Dhamma and applies it to life gains benefits in the present and future, including the highest benefit of the complete end of suffering. When the fires of defilement and suffering are extinguished, what remains is natural eternal happiness. The highest benefit is nibbana. The highest happiness is the happiness free from craving. When examining the Buddha's first instruction carefully, we find that proclaiming the holy life according to the original ideal of the monks is an offering of benefit and happiness to others without expecting anything in return. It is sharing from compassion, empty of greed, lust, or craving as a motivation. Spreading the Dhamma as the Buddha truly intended is not a business to be measured by rewards. Its true value lies in how well listeners understand and apply the Dhamma to generate benefit and happiness. The true result lies with the recipients. If the recipients gain nothing while the preacher gains material wealth, then the spreading of the Dhamma becomes trading in Dhamma, which completely contradicts the original principle. Therefore, the Buddha emphasized that recipients must be wise, able to see the value of the Dhamma for building stability and peace of mind. Those with little dust in their eyes are inclined toward the Dhamma, seeking understanding and practical application, expecting nothing beyond learning and practice. A preacher who meets such a seeker does not need to create such incentives to please or entice them with communication techniques that might block access to the true Dhamma. Dhamma should be shared purely through a process that emphasizes peace as its goal. It may not be exciting or sensational and may seem dull to those unprepared or still covered in dust, who view Dhamma like any other knowledge or entertainment. Yet it must be done, for it aligns with the Buddha's intentions. But if a Dhamma seeker sees Dhamma as Dhamma and understands its benefit and value correctly, they find joy in every moment of study and practice. The joy surpasses all excitement like pure, cool water that is tasteless and colorless, but invaluable for drinking and use. More so than flavored water that may attract the eye and taste, but offers only limited value, or may even cause harm when taken in excess. After sending the 60 Arahants to proclaim the Dhamma and the holy life, The Buddha set out to the village of Urawela to proclaim the Dhamma and to those who he had determined were capable of realizing his teachings.
Okay, chapter 38. Continue asli.
When the Buddha traveled to the village of Urawela Sannaskima Kama
Urawela Senanikam.
Urawela
Senanikama.
Sena Nikama to
Yes.
teach the Dhamma to those with little dust in their eyes and whose wisdom was ready to receive it. He passed through many villages, yet he did not encounter anyone interested in hearing or speaking with him about the Dhamma. Still, he continued his journey calmly and steadily, neither rushed nor delayed. One day, while passing through a lush public grove filled with blooming flowers of many kinds, where young couples sought seclusion under the forest shade to share intimacy and joy, the Buddha encountered a young man. The young man emerged from the trees and upon seeing the Buddha asked whether he had seen a woman passing by. Rather than directly answering yes or no, the Buddha asked, "Are you looking for the woman or are you looking for yourself?" The young man was stunned by the question. After gathering his thoughts, he replied, "It would be better to look for myself." The young man was one of a group of 29 noble youths known as the Bhattawakkiya.
Patawakkiya. Yes.
They had come to the grove with their wives. He alone was unmarried, and so he had hired a courtesan for companionship. While he had fallen asleep, the woman had stolen his valuables and fled. Upon discovering the theft, his companions began searching throughout the area. Eventually, he stumbled upon the Buddha. After their pierced but briefing exchange, he decided to inform his friends to abandon their search for the woman. The 29 young men gathered and came to meet the Buddha. The Blessed One then delivered the graduated discourse Anupopikata,
the Four Noble
and the
Truths.
Four Noble Truths. Upon hearing the teachings, a young man gained the Dhamma eye, clear of darkness and light are here.
I clear inner understanding.
The young men gained the Dhamma eye, clear inner understanding beyond doubt that all things arises from calm and cease due to causes. They had entered the realm of noble understanding, Sotapanna, irreversibly orientated toward Nibbana. They immediately asked for and received the going forth and higher ordination as bhikkhus, vowing to follow the noble path to full awakening. From a single sentence, the Buddha had transformed their lives, shifting them from indulgence and confusion to clarity and renunciation. He liberated them from the snares of sensuality and guided them onto the path of renunciation, Nekkhamma. This teaching lifted the heavy burdens they had long carried, offering a life that was light, clear, and peaceful. The Buddha's words pierced their heart, not with condemnation, but with compassionate truth, striking a deep chord that stilled their wandering minds. Seeing the truth so clearly, they could not return to falsehood. Having recognized the dangers of illusion, they longed away to escape it. In the Buddha, they found the one who would point the way. The Buddha awakened one of them to the idea of searching inwardly, rather than seeking outward objects or people to generate fleeting happiness. Once he turned inward and found himself, he realized the sufficiency of inner joy, independent of external conditions. Whether one finds that joy or not depends on the method of searching. When one returns inward, one sees the teaching of the Buddha not as abstractions, but as nature of life itself. The truth of the graduated teaching and the Four Noble Truths live within one's own experience. With readiness of heart, goodwill, and wisdom, one can discern the Dhamma in the full practice from beginning to end. The proper beginning of studying Dhamma is an honest investigation of oneself, for both Dhamma and defilements reside in this very person. Suffering and joy arise here. The path to end of suffering is found here. Darkness and light are here. Ignorance and wisdom both reside here. One must merely choose what is beneficial and abandon what is harmful. When guided by right view, seeing things as they truly are, one discovers the Dhamma and the fruits of practice completely.
Thank you very much for beautiful reading at the beginning and the middle and the last one. And then today, I would like you to read in the Buddha's word, right view. That's very important. Please turn 3 to 3. 3 to 3. Because right view is very important, I would like you to read just number 3, a cause of the right view.
Thus have I heard,
Okay.
on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Sawati in Jeta's Grove, Antapitika,
Anatapindika.
Anatapindika.
Park.
There the Venerable Sariputta addressed amongst us. Friends, monks, friend, they replied. The Venerable Sariputta said this. One of right view, one of right view is said, friends. In what way is a noble disciple one of right view, whose view is straight, who has confirmed confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma? Indeed, friend, we would come from a far way away to learn from the Venerable Sariputta the meaning of the statement. It would be good if the Venerable Sariputta would explain the meaning of the statement. Having heard it from him, the monks will remember it. Then, friends, listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, friend, the monks replied. The Venerable Sariputta said this. When, friends, a noble disciple understands the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, in that way he is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has confirmed confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what, friends, is the unwholesome? What is the root of the unwholesome? What is the wholesome and what is the root of wholesome? The destruction of life is unwholesome. Taking what is not given is unwholesome. Sexual misconduct is unwholesome. False speech is unwholesome. Malicious speech is unwholesome. Harsh speech is unwholesome. Idle chatter is unwholesome. Covetousness is unwholesome. Ill will is unwholesome. Wrong view is unwholesome. This is called the unwholesome. And what is the root of the unwholesome? Greed is the root of the unwholesome. Hatred is the root of the unwholesome. Delusion is the root of the unwholesome. That is called the root of the unwholesome. And what is wholesome? Abstention from the destruction of life is wholesome. Abstention from taking what is not given is wholesome. Abstention from sexual misconduct is wholesome. Abstention from false speech, from sexual misconduct is wholesome. Abstention from false speech is wholesome. Abstention from malicious speech is wholesome. Abstention from harsh speech is wholesome. Abstention from idle chatter is wholesome. Uncovetousness is wholesome. Non-ill will is wholesome. Right view is wholesome. This is called the wholesome. And what is the root of the wholesome? Non-greed is the root of the wholesome. Non-hatred is the root of the wholesome. Non-delusion is the root of the wholesome. This is called the root of the wholesome. When a noble disciple has thus understood the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the unwholesome, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust. He abolishes the underlying tendency to aversion. He extirpates the underlying tendency to the view and conceit I am. And by abandoning ignorance, arousing true knowledge, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In that way, a noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight and who has confirmed the confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at the true Dhamma. Saying, good friends, the monk delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sariputta's words. Then they asked him a further question. But friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma? There might be, friends. When, friends, a noble disciple understands nutriment, the origin of nutriment, the cessation of nutriment, and the way leading to the cessation of nutriment, in that way he is one of right view, who has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what is nutriment? What is the origin of nutriment? What is the cessation of nutriment? What is the way leading to the cessation of nutriment? These four kinds of nutriment for the sustenance of beings that already have come to be and for the support of those about to come. What for? They are physical food as nutriment, gross or subtle, contact as a second, mental volition as third, and consciousness as fourth. With the arising of craving, there is arising of nutriment. With the cessation of craving, there is cessation of nutriment. The way leading to the cessation of nutriment is speech. Just this Eightfold Path is, This way leading to the cessation of nutriment is just this Eightfold Path. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. When a noble disciple has thus understood nutriment, the origin of nutriment, the cessation of nutriment, and the way leading to the cessation of nutriment, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust. He here and now makes an end to suffering. In a way, too, the noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight and who has confirmed the confidence of the Dhamma and has arrived at the true Dhamma. The Four Noble Truths. Saying, "Good friend," the monks delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sariputa's words. Then they asked him a further question, "But friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma?" There might be, friends. When, friends, a noble disciple understands suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering, in that way he is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. And what is suffering? What is the origin of suffering? What is the cessation of suffering? What is the way leading to the cessation of suffering? Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair are suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. In brief, the five aggregates subject to clinging are suffering. This is called suffering. And what is the origin of suffering? It is this craving that leads to renewed existence, accompanied by pleasure and delight, lust and delight, seeking delight here and there. That is cravings for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, craving for extermination. This is called the origin of suffering. And what is the cessation of suffering? It is the remainderless fading away and cessation of that same craving, the giving up and relinquishing of, freedom from it, non-attachment. And what is the way leading to the cessation of suffering? It is just this noble eightfold path, that is right view, right concentration. This is called the leading to the cessation of suffering. When a noble disciple has thus understood suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, the way leading to the cessation of suffering, he here now makes an end of suffering. In that way too, a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. Saying, "Good friend," the monks delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sariputa's words. Then they asked him a further question, "But friends, there might be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma."
Thank you. That's it. Enough. Enough from this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the right view. I want you to understand the right view in so many places, and then this is the final class for us to study together.
Oh, man, Saturday, my mom. Saturday, no?
Saturday, what the number? Oh, no class, yeah. 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is the last day. We study the book. If you want to discuss from your heart, most welcome. We will study Thich Nhat Hanh, River of Feeling,
My favorite author.
Non-naturally. Okay. This is, I try to find out what you did not read.
The River of Feelings.
Yes.
Our feelings play a very important part in directing all our thoughts and actions. In us, there is a river of feelings, in which every drop of water is a different feeling. Each feeling relies on all others for existence. To observe it, we just sit on the bank of a river and identify each feeling as it surfaces, flows by, and disappears. There are three sorts of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. When we have an unpleasant feeling, we may want to chase it away, but it is more effective to return to our conscious breathing and just observe it, identifying it silently to ourselves. Breathing in, I know there is an unpleasant feeling in me. Breathing out, I know there is an unpleasant feeling in me. Calling a feeling by its name, such as anger, sorrow, joy, or happiness, helps us identify it clearly and recognize it more deeply. We can use our breathing to be in contact with our feelings and accept them. If our breathing is light and calm, a natural result of conscious breathing, our mind and also will slowly become light, calm, and clear, and our feelings also. Mindful observation is based on the principle of non-duality. Our feelings is not separate from us or caused merely by something outside us. Our feeling is us, and for the moment we are feeling. We are neither drowned in nor terrorized by feeling, nor do we reject it. Our attitude of not clinging to or rejecting our feelings is the attitude of letting go, an important part of meditation practice. If we practice our unpleasant feelings with care, affection, and nonviolence, we can transform them into a kind of energy that is healthy and has the capacity to nourish us. By the work of mindful observation, our unpleasant feelings can illuminate so much for us, offering us insight and understanding into ourselves and society. Non-surgery. Western medicine emphasizes surgery too much. Doctors want to take out the things that are not wanted. When we have something irregular in our body, too often they advise us to have an operation. The same seems to be true in psychotherapy. Therapist wants to throw out what is unwanted and keep only what is wanted, but what is left may not be very much. If we try to throw away what we don't want, we throw away most of ourselves. Instead of acting as if we can dispose parts of ourselves, we should learn the art of transformation. We can transform our anger, for example, into something more wholesome, like understanding. We do not need surgery to remove our anger. If we become angry at our anger, we will have two angers at the same time. We only have to observe it with love and attention. If we take our anger in this way, without trying to run away from it,
Impressive word is we cannot surgery anger.
yeah,
Very impressive word.
we do not need surgery to remove anger.
Yeah, you cannot.
If we become angry at our anger, we will have two angers at the same time. We only have to observe it with love and attention. If we take care of anger in this way, without trying to run away from it, it will transform itself. This is peacemaking. If we're peaceful in ourselves, we can make peace with our anger. We can deal with depression, anxiety, fear, or any unpleasant feeling in the same way. Transforming feelings. The feeling in dealing with feelings is to recognize each feeling as it arises. The agent that does this is mindfulness. In the case of fear, for example, you bring out your mindfulness, look at your fear, and recognize it as fear. You know that the fear springs from yourself, and mindfulness also springs from yourself. They are both in you, not fighting, but one taking care of the other. The second step is to become one with feeling. It is best not to say, "Go away, fear, I don't like you, you are not me." It is much more effective to say, "Hello, fear, how are you today?" Then you can invite the two aspects of yourself, mindfulness and fear, to shake hands as friends and become one. Doing this may seem frightening, but because you know that you are more than just your fear, you need not to be afraid. As long as mindfulness is there, it can chaperone your fear. The mindfulness practice is to nourish your mindfulness with conscious breathing, to keep it there, alive and strong. Although your mindfulness may not be very powerful in the beginning, if you nourish it, it will become stronger. As long as mindfulness is present, you will not drown in your fear. In fact, you will begin transforming at the very moment you give birth to awareness in yourself. The third step is to calm the feeling. As mindfulness is taking good care of your fear, you begin to calm down. You begin to calm it down. Breathing in, I calm the activities of body and mind. You calm your feeling just by being with it, like a mother tenderly holding her crying baby. Feeling his mother's tenderness, the baby will calm down and stop crying. The mother is your mindfulness, born from the depths of your consciousness, and it will tend to the feeling of pain. A mother holding her baby is one with her baby. If the mother is thinking of other things, the baby will not calm down. The mother has to put aside other things and just hold her baby. So don't avoid your feelings. Don't say you're not important, you're only a feeling. Come and be one with it. You can say it. You can say, breathing out, I calm my fear. The fourth step is to release the feeling, to let it go. Because of your calm, you feel at ease, even in the midst of fear, and you will know your fear will not grow into something that will overwhelm you. When you know you are capable of taking care of your fear, it is already reduced to a minimum, becoming softer and not so pleasant. Now you can smile at it and let it go. But please do not stop yet. Calming and releasing are just medicines for the symptoms. You now have an opportunity to go deeper and work on transforming the source of your fear. The fifth step is to look deeply. You look deeply into your baby, your feeling of fear, to see what is wrong, even after the baby has stopped crying, after the fear is gone. You cannot hold your baby all the time. Therefore, you have to look into him to see the cause of what is wrong. By looking, you will see what will help you transform the feeling. You will realize, for example, that his suffering has many causes, inside and outside of his body. If something is wrong around him, if you put that in order, bring tenderness and care to the situation, he will feel better. Looking into your baby, you will see the elements that are causing him to cry, and when you see them, you will know what to do and what not to do. Transform the feeling and be free. This is a process similar to psychotherapy. Together with the patient, the therapist looks at the nature of pain. Often the therapist can uncover the causes of suffering that stemmed away as the patient looks at the things, the belief he holds about himself, his culture, and the world. The therapist examines both these viewpoints and beliefs with the patient, and together they help free him from the kind of prison he has been in. But the patient's efforts are crucial. A teacher has to give birth to the teacher within his student, and a psychotherapist has to give birth to the psychotherapist within his patient. The patient's internal psychotherapist can then work full-time in a very effective way. The therapist does not treat the patient by simply giving him another set of beliefs. She tries to help him see which kinds of ideas and beliefs have led to his suffering. Many patients want to get rid of their painful feelings, but they do not want to get rid of their beliefs, the viewpoints that are the very root of their feelings. So therapists and patients have to work together to help patients see things as they are. The same is true as when we use mindfulness to transform our feelings. After recognizing the feeling, becoming one with it, calming down, and releasing it, we can look deeply into its causes, which are often on inaccurate perceptions. As soon as we understand the causes and nature of our feelings, they began to transform themselves. Mindfulness of anger.
Okay, just the last one, mindfulness and anger. Okay.
Anger is an unpleasant feeling. It is like a blazing flame that burns up our self-control and causes us to say things and do things that we regret later. When someone is angry, we can see that he or she is abiding in hell. Well, anger and hatred are the materials from which hell is made. A mind without anger is cool, fresh, and sane. The absence of anger is the basis of real happiness, the basis of love and compassion. When our anger is placed under the lamp of mindfulness, it immediately begins to lose some of its destructive nature. We can say to ourselves, breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I know that I am my anger. If we follow our breathings closely, while we identify and mindfully observe our anger, it can no longer monopolize our consciousness. Awareness can be called upon to be a companion for our anger. Our awareness of anger does not suppress it or drive it out. It just looks after it. This is a very important principle. Mindfulness is not a judge. It's more like an older sister looking after and comforting her younger sister in an affectionate and caring way. We can concentrate on our breathing in order to maintain this mindfulness and know ourselves fully. When we are angry, we're not usually inclined to return to ourselves. We want to think about the person who's making us angry, to think about his hateful aspects, his rudeness, dishonesty, cruelness, maliciousness, and so on. The more we think about him, listen to him, or look at him, the more our anger flares. His dishonesty and hatefulness may be real, imaginary, or exaggerated, but in fact, the root of the problem is anger itself. And we have to come back and look, first of all, inside ourselves. It is best if we do not listen or look at the person who we...
Yeah.
We have...
Yeah.
But in fact, the root of the problem is anger itself. We have to come back and look first of all inside ourselves. It is best if we do not listen or look at the person who we consider to be the cause of our anger. Like a fireman, we have to pour water on the blaze first and not waste time looking for one who has set the house on fire. Breathing in, I know that I am angry. Breathing out, I know that I must put my energy into caring for my anger. So we avoid thinking about the other person and we refrain from doing or saying anything as long as our anger persists. If we put all our mind into observing our anger, we will avoid doing any damage that we may regret later. When we are angry, our anger is our very self. To suppress it or chase it away is to suppress or chase away ourselves. When we are joyful, we are joy. When we are angry, we are the anger. When anger is born in us, we are aware that anger is the energy in us. We can accept that energy in order to transform it into another kind of energy. When we have a compost bin filled with organic material that is decomposing and smelly, we know that we can transform the waste into a beautiful flower. At first, we may see the compost and the flower as opposite. But when we look deeply, we see that the flowers already existed in the compost. And the compost already exists in the flowers. It only takes for a couple weeks for a flower to decompose. When the good organic gardener looks into her compost, she can see that she does not feel sad or disgusted. Instead, she values her rotting material and does not discriminate against it. It takes only a few months for a compost to give birth to flowers. We need insight and non-dual visions of the organic gardener with regard to our anger. We need not to be afraid of it or reject it. We know that anger can be a kind of compost, and that is within its power to give birth to something beautiful. We need anger in the way the organic gardener needs compost. If we know how to accept our anger, we already have some peace and joy. Gradually, we can transform anger completely into peace, love, and understanding.
It's over. Thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for understanding. It would be the great foundation for your life. The important thing of life is no suffering. Yeah, for you. I bought from you the new one.
Oh.
I came to Barnes and Noble and bought for you. But because so many books, the content are same, like a walking meditation, something like that. And then I try to find out, does it not different from another book from here? Then very important, if you bring all of this book at home once, you can read and you can be peaceful. After you work or you busy or you can't sleep, let come and read passage to passage. It can be a handbook to get rid of suffering. That's it, important tool you can from the ordination, that it would be the strong foundation for the peaceful and the bright future. You can work, you can make business as you like in the appropriate way that you can accept and can enjoy, be happy, be peaceful. And if whenever it makes you more suffer that you cannot handle, please stop and see and breathe it long and smiling and seeing again. If you try to provide your housing, your car, your property in an appropriate way, you'll never be suffer. What the people suffer because sometimes it's overload. For example, it's necessary for you and appropriate for income, for working, about 8 points, but you need 15 points. That start to be suffering. And if you have the tool, the money or income or change, 15 points, then you need just 10, you always happy. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami ขอบคุณครับพระอาจารย์ขอบคุณเช่นกันโชคดีมีความสุขมีสติสมาธิปัญญาตลอดไป
Oh, I have a lot of books to read.
That's the great property for you.
อบคุณครับ
You practice 5 precepts, right?
ใช่